All right, let's talk about something that feels almost impossible to find these days: real, deep silence. In a world that just never, ever stops talking, we're going to dig into a surprisingly old-school solution for this very modern problem.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Our brains are just constantly flooded. There's this idea of information overload leading to stress, and it's so true. So where do you even begin to turn down the volume? Not just the noise outside, but, the even louder noise inside our own heads.
Well, it turns out, way back in the 16th century, a soldier named Saint Ignatius of Loyola came up with an answer. After a major battlefield injury, he had this profound spiritual experience and developed what he called the spiritual exercises. And look, this isn't just a book of prayers. It's more like an architectural blueprint for building what he called an interior monastery, a space of incredible quiet and freedom right inside yourself.
So Ignatius saw silence as something you build level by level from the outside in. And this table? This is basically our path for today. We're going to start with the most obvious one, physical silence, and then work our way up, deeper and deeper, all the way to the heart. This is our blueprint.
Okay, so first things first. Every great building needs a solid foundation. And for Ignatius, that foundation is just good old-fashioned quiet.
Now, for Ignatius, this part is a total non-negotiable. It's not just about turning down the TV. We're talking about finding complete and absolute external silence when you're doing this work. Why? Because you've got to clear the ground before you can start the real interior construction. You have to shut the world out before you can really start to listen to what's going on inside.
And this quote right here is the key to the whole thing. It's actually the only time the word silence even appears in his spiritual exercises, which tells you how important it is. Ignatius is basically saying that silence isn't this scary, empty thing. It's the prepared space. It's the open door that allows for a much deeper spiritual encounter.
So, you've managed to quiet the external world. Awesome. But now you're faced with an even bigger challenge: the non-stop noise inside your own mind. This is the next phase of our building project.
And this is where so many of us get stuck, right? You finally find a quiet room, you sit down, and suddenly your brain is just racing with to-do lists, worries, random thoughts, the whole shebang. Ignatius totally got this. He knew you can't just command your mind to be quiet. You have to give it something new and better to focus on. And for that, he gives us two really powerful tools. First, there's meditation. That's where you use your brain, your intellect, to really think through a spiritual idea. But the real game changer, the thing that sets his method apart, is the second one: contemplation. This is a huge shift. You stop just thinking about a story, and you actually use your imagination to stand inside it.
This technique is the heart of the whole Ignatian method. It's all about making scripture come alive. You're not just reading words on a page. You're using your five senses to see the dusty road, to hear the voices in the crowd, to feel the sun on your skin. The whole point is to move from your head to your heart, from an intellectual idea to a real personal experience.
And it's not some vague, mystical thing. It's actually a very structured process. First, you get the facts straight. You read the passage to know what's going on. Then you start building the world in your mind, kind of like a movie director setting up a scene. You see the place, you see the people, and, this is key, you put yourself right there with them. Only then do you start to listen and reflect. This whole process gives that chattering mind of yours a job to do, a vivid, sacred world to live in.
Okay, so building this inner space is one thing. But how do you maintain it when you have to go back out into the real, noisy world? Well, for that, Ignatius gave us a daily maintenance tool.
It's called the Daily Examen, and this thing has been road-tested, believe me. For more than 500 years, this simple reflection has been absolutely central for Jesuits and so many others, and it's designed specifically for busy, active people. The Examen isn't about just replaying your day or beating yourself up. It's a really practical tool for awareness. It's about looking back over the last 24 hours with a specific goal, to spot those moments of connection and maybe disconnection, to see where you felt truly alive and where you felt drained, and to just notice where God might have been in all of it.
And the structure is just beautiful. You start with gratitude, which just opens you up. Then you ask for a bigger perspective. Then comes the review. That's the core of it. And you wrap up not with guilt, but with forgiveness and a really hopeful look toward tomorrow. It's like a spiritual reset button that only takes a few minutes, but can totally recenter your whole life.
And all of this brings us to the ultimate goal, the whole reason for building this inner monastery in the first place. See, it was never meant to be a place to hide from the world. It's to prepare you to open the gates. This is such a huge misconception about these kinds of practices. For Ignatius, silence was never, ever about withdrawal. The entire purpose of creating this inner quiet is so you can carry it with you out into the world. It allows you to act with way more clarity, purpose, and love.
And this leads to the Ignatian ideal, the contemplative in action. This is the person who can manage a huge, complex project or deal with a difficult situation, all while staying deeply rooted in that inner peace. It's about finding God not just in quiet prayer, but in all things, in your work, in your relationships, in the messy reality of everyday life.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The silence that Ignatius teaches us to build isn't an empty void. It's a gateway. It's a source of strength that lets us engage with our beautiful, complicated, messy lives in a much more profound and much less reactive way.
So, the blueprint is there. The tools are ready to go. The final question really isn't about whether you can build this space of inner silence. The real question is, what will you do with the peace and the clarity that you find there? What happens when you open the gates?